and welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of March 4th, 2024.
March. The year is marching on, but
Yes, it is. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
For a weekly episode to talk about parenting in a roundabout way, along with a little pop culture. And as you know, and I don't know if the listeners know, I just returned from Vegas. Las Vegas, speaking of pop culture.
Viva Las Vegas.
I did not see any Elvis impersonators, but
no.
Wow, people still smoke cigarettes and they are all in the casinos. And you have to walk through the casinos to get where you want to go.
Yes.
That was gross.
It is weird now when you run into a pocket of places where people still smoke. It used to be bowling alleys here, and then they made it, people stop even smoking in the bowling alleys. But gosh, when I was a kid, people smoked everywhere, and it was
everywhere. Yeah.
So now it's a shock.
It is a shock, but it was a really good time. My daughter was skating, and her team did so well.
I watched them. I watched that video you put up.
Yeah.
So good. I could only spot her at the end when they were all stopped.
Right.
I could not find her in motion.
It's very hard. I usually, clock her at the beginning and then
follow her,
lose her immediately.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's what you want. You want them to all look the same, right?
Right. They are meant to look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do we call that hairstyle they had? It's not specifically a braid. It's like a series of blobs. Is that still considered?
It's called a bubble braid.
A bubble braid. I knew there was a word for it.
It's very popular. And in their case, for all except one of them, it is a hairpiece.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So they put their hair up.
So much easier than having to do it on every person's hair.
But the thing is, they keep it straight, and then once they attach it, then they comb it up into those bubbles.
Oh, they still comb. They comb the hairpiece up into those bubbles.
I don't know why they don't
and it just automatically goes like that.
No, I don't know why they don't just keep it that way all the time, but they
impractical.
Don't. Yes. They put their hair up in a bun, and then they attach, it's like this ponytail. Of course, they call it a phony pony. And they, it has it's like a scrunchie, with the hair attached to it, and they put it around the bun, and then they sew it in with fishing line to make sure that it's attached.
Yeah. And
at a previous competition, one of them went flying.
Yep. I felt that coming. Oh, dear.
This girl went into a spin, hair spun one way, body spun another way.
Oh, gosh. And then you have that thing on the ice. You got to get that off of there.
Yeah, somebody kicked it to the boards right quick.
Yeah.
But that's a deduction.
Oh, I bet it is. So. Is it the loss of hair that's a deduction, or the kick?
It's called it's a costume deduction. So basically, because it's not safe to have that on the ground. So yeah.
Wow.
So anyway,
fishing line. They use fishing line
because it's clear and it's super strong. So, but the kind of good news on the when it went off was that the coach was the one who sewed it. Who sewed that particular one, so nobody got in trouble.
I would say that is the value of that particular hair item so great that it's worth that risk?
I mean, it did look cool. And
I did spend quite a bit of the routine thinking, how did they do that hair? What is that called? When I should have been watching the skating. So I was distracted by the hair.
Stay. And, out of all the times they did it with, 20 people, 16 people skating it, and all the times that they performed it, only one time did one get loose. So Anyway.
Not what most people think of when they hear wardrobe malfunction, but still.
Yep, but that was one. But they did not have that at Vegas.
Oh, they looked good.
They looked good. They came in second, which, and the team that comes in first is sort of almost always, for like decades coming in first.
Okay,
so I just don't even
second
count
really
them.
means something then.
It does.
They
to
seemed
me.
very happy when they got their score. So
yes, and the thing is too, when they get their score, they don't know that they've won. What place they're in because there's more teams to come after them, and two of the teams that came after them, one of them had beaten them several times, and one had beaten them. One of them they kind of were back and forth with throughout the season. So it was definitely not. We did not know when they got their score. We knew that it was a great score and it was the best they'd done, ever. Not just this season, but lifetime. But yeah, we did not know what their placement was going to be. So it was thrilling when the other team skated and got their score, and they were 1/10 of a point behind our team. So,
congratulations to your daughter and her team. That is exciting. What else did you do while you were in Vegas? Did you have the Vegas experience, or did you just walk through cigarette smoke to go watch skating and then leave?
No, I mean, we did a bunch of things. I did not gamble. I was with my mom, and she did. She spent $12 on a slot machine and lost it all. Yes. My husband actually won some money on the slot machine. He won. Wow. Yeah, he won he was up. His highest was at like over $300. Wow. And then he kept playing, which, as he said later, I didn't quit when I was ahead.
Yeah. But see, you never know when you're really ahead, because you could be ahead.
I know. But anyway, so he ended up, over $200.
Wow.
So
that's great for the slot machines. Usually.
Yes.
My husband used to go to Atlantic City. Pre-me, he used to take the bus down to Atlantic City from time to time. And one time he won enough, not on a slot machine, at a table game of some sort. Right. I'm not sure what exactly it was, to buy his family a VCR back when they were like $700 or $800, like in the very beginning, when it was a big deal. And I know when I started dating him, they still had that VCR, and it was like, this is the VCR he bought when he won money in Atlantic City. It's like, ooh, look at that. That's cool. But I myself, my gambling strategy has always been find the cheapest slot machines and just play them the entire time you're there. It's fun. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. If you don't make any money, you don't spend that much money either. So, right. It used to be nickel slots back in the day. But now, the last time I went to Atlantic City, I couldn't figure out how to use the slot machines. They had changed things. You didn't put coins in them anymore. You had to go to a machine and get a card. And put the card in, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to take money out of the card, and I just finally gave up.
Yeah, most of the ones in Vegas were like that also. But like my mom and I found one where you could just put cash in it.
You want to have a big cup of quarters and feed the quarters in, and then they down when you win, and it's exciting, and you put them in your cup. That's the entertainment.
Exactly.
What's the point of it now?
I know.
Kids?
Yep.
Everything today is wrong.
Yes.
Did you see shows or
I saw a Cirque du Soleil show, the one that's called O, and where they have a big pool on the stage. O as in E, it is just the letter O, but it's O as in water in French.
I don't know. You told me we had to speak English in this podcast.
I know. Catherine, I did tell you that.
You're going to confuse the transcription. Holy cow.
So yeah, it was a giant pool of water on the stage. Yeah. It's very cool, actually. we saw that. Went hiking out in the desert.
Ooh.
We went to this, I don't know what you call it, sort of this like immersive art experience called the Omega Mart, which is put on by this sort of like art collective called Meow Wolf. It started in this sort of fake grocery store with all these fake products that were, very silly, and some of them you could buy. And like a coin purse that looked exactly like an avocado. And like we were like, this would be perfect if you wanted to hide valuables, because you could not tell that it wasn't a real avocado.
Unless there was a thief who really wanted some guacamole, in which case.
Right. And then they're like, whoo, jackpot. No. So, but then it became, you walked through the freezer. You like opened up one of the freezer cases and then you walked through, and then you were in this whole other huge experience with like various lighted displays, and there was a whole story to it, but we didn't like try to follow the story. I mean, there was like all kinds of documents and signs and videos and stuff that if you paid attention, then you could try to track some kind of a story, but we did not attempt to do that. We just wandered around and enjoyed the weirdness of it all. So it was fun. Well, it was fun.
The weirdness of it all is a good description of Vegas.
That's right.
Back in my experience, which is long ago and very young, most of it. But it's cool.
And from my hotel room window, I could see the football stadium where the Super Bowl was.
Ooh.
But of course, no Taylor Swift anymore. And then on Reservation Dogs, we had the aunties like off for a wild time.
Someplace much less swank than Vegas, but still.
Yes, not Vegas.
Yeah. So we watched 2 episodes of Reservation Dogs, as is our habit. We watched season 2, episode 5, Wide Net, which is the aunties going to a fun conference/snag session, and episode 6, Decolonativization, which involved the young people sitting through an excruciating workshop that was supposed to, I don't know, increase their self-esteem, strengthen their
native identity, maybe.
It was a pretty vicious takedown of influencers.
Yes. And they all did it just to get their Sonic gift cards.
They got their Sonic cards, yes. Both of the
even White Steve was there to get decolonized as well.
Oh dear. Well, they both, in their own way, each of these outings was excruciating. But the aunties maybe had a little more fun.
Yeah, I think so.
But in both places,
because edibles were involved.
That's for the aunties. Edibles and alcohol would have made that decolonization thing much more fun. But Bear got in enough trouble for having a party while his mom was out of town. So,
yeah, Bear, come on now. It's a small town.
That's
Have
right.
you not figured that out by now?
Oh, well, you got to try.
Mm-hmm.
That's, in both episodes, people said things that they shouldn't have said, and whether people get back together is more questionable in the second one, where Alora and Bear are still at odds, and Jackie is still feeling on the outside, and she and Willie Jack got into it, and it's just kids. Can't we all get along?
Right. Yeah.
We can all make fun of that lady who's telling you stuff.
She grew up on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Well, actually, I grew up in the Bay Area, but my body grew up in the, isn't that what she said? My body grew up in the Bay Area, but my soul is from the reservation or something like that. Like, oh,
yeah.
God. You're going to try that with these kids who really do live there. I don't think it's going to work.
And these exercises we've done, what was this supposed to do exactly? Because none of those things unique to anything at all. Those are the youth ministers across the nation are administering those exact same exercises.
Taking notes. The potato dance. We're going to try that. The trust fall, the journaling.
That's right.
What else did they do?
Oh, they were giving them instructions while one of them is blindfolded and the other is...
Oh, right. Yep.
So various configurations of our characters were involved in those things. But in the end, there were Sonic cards in the end. But also hurt feelings and isolation and a waste of however much money it cost to bring those people out.
Right.
I'm thinking that they required more than a Sonic card to come do their little workshop, which was pretty bogus. But
right.
Meanwhile, let's see, in the first episode, at this conference, I guess, what's Bear's mother's name? Rita. We get Teeny back, who was in the previous episode at Mabel's funeral, and now she was going on this conference, and there's some bad blood between her and Rita, I guess, because for the same reasons.
Well, her and all of them.
Because on all of them. She left.
Yeah, she left.
Just as people are mad at Alora for leaving people behind, and everybody's mad at Teeny. But Teeny has not had the greatest life either. So they have.
Although we don't know too much about it.
No, just that she wishes she had kids. And
right.
Those two actresses are sisters, by the way.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, in real life.
So the one who plays Rita and the one who plays Teeny.
Correct.
Oh, nice.
Things you learn from looking on IMDb. And Bev, I guess is her name, Jackie's aunt, was having a good time.
She sure was.
The character and the actress both were having a good time.
Right. She's so different. I mean, she's an actress, but she's so different. On Rutherford Falls, she was so, put together and a little bit uptight. And
she did have a fling with NPR guy, but...
But it wasn't so much of a fling. I mean, it was like potentially a real relationship, where here it's all about the fling. And she's so like deadpan, whereas her character on Rutherford Falls was far more earnest and so
good acting. Nice to see you again playing.
That's how acting works, isn't it?
That was fun. But so, do we think that the guy that Rita had an eye on, but then thought somebody else had taken? Was he waiting at the bar for her, or was he just?
No. He did seem to hope she was coming back.
It seemed like, he turned away the younger woman.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come back in a future episode.
Maybe so. He was very tall, it seemed to me, when he was standing next to her.
Right.
So basically, everybody is struggling, as we've known, as we've observed in previous episodes. But every now and then, I guess you get to have a good time.
Right. And then at the end of the second one, we had just this sort of heartbreaking scene of Alora alone in her house.
Which we knew was going to be the case, but still.
Right, as you pointed out, like, she's a kid. Yes. She's all by herself in this house with all these memories of her grandma. Oh,
yeah. It developed into sort of being scary that she sort of is in this house alone. But the point at which she's sitting watching TV, laughing and eating her Sonic, and then she like looks to the side like to, like you would if you were watching TV with somebody and there's nobody there.
Right.
Eesh.
Yeah.
So I hope those kids get their acts together because they could all be friends.
That's right.
They could all help each other, and they all need each other. And the things that they're mad about are not as significant as they seem.
Right.
But
which is the way when you're a teenager.
it is true. It is true. But also things are more quickly mended when you're a teenager.
Yes. You're right.
Although they seem to mend things pretty quickly amongst the older women also. The not so old older women.
Right. They have a little more perspective.
That is true. That is why it's easier, maybe. Maybe that's what the kids lack is perspective for sure. Mm-hmm. But Willie Jack is really being kind of a word I can't say on this podcast.
Yeah.
And Bear also is. He was so mad and he was so self-righteous, and then she calls him on it and leaves, and then he's like, oh, wait.
Right. Well.
Yes. Anyway. Happy fun. Happy fun episode.
Yes.
I
mean, these did have a lot more comic relief than
they did.
Some
yes,
of the
I thought
ones,
in both cases, I thought, oh, this is going to be a happy fun episode, and then
sort of.
real life. Why do you keep crashing back in?
Right.
That's the way this show works, and rightly so, as it should.
Well.
So, are you going to do a better job of lightening the mood this week than you did last week with your Catherine's Library Find of the Week?
Yes, this is a charming one. It is called Slug in Love,
Aww.
a children's book by Rachel Bright, and this slug, of course, his name is Doug, is in want of a hug, and he,
oh my goodness,
of course no one wants to hug him because he's this slimy slug.
Yeah.
So he comes upon a snail who's very glamorous snail. She has like cat eye glasses, and she's very, very very glam. And she, however, is not interested. So he has to keep looking.
Aww.
But given that is a children's picture book, you should be reassured that he will find someone to hug him. So, but it's super great, super fun illustrations, and it's all, lots of rhyming words. So good for those early readers.
Yes. When you get tired of reading Hop on Pop, go right to
try Slug in Love. It's quite charming. And actually, when I forgot the name of it, and I was searching around, and there's another book. I thought it was called like Slug Wants a Hug or something, and there is a book called that, but it is not this book. Oh. And then there's another book about Doug the Slug. There's also Doug the Pug. So there are a lot
of books on slugs and Dougs.
Slugs and Dougs and Pugs. There's quite a lot of pug. There's Pig the Pug as well. There are many pug books, which I usually notice because I have friends who are pug breeders. So I'm always noticing the pug books on their behalf. So yeah, there's quite a lot of them. Adorable. But I did enjoy Slug in Love very much. And I think I link to it. A lot of times on YouTube, there's videos of people reading these books aloud. So you can get the entire experience. I'm not positive that there's one for this, but if there is, I will find it.
I love children's books like that. I miss those.
Yeah.
I remember those days. They're so cute and they're so fun to read out loud.
Yes. We came across at the library the other day one that I loved, which is called Room on the Broom.
Oh.
Do you know that one?
No.
It's about, a witch going around on her broom and all these animals. Is there room on the broom for a frog like me? Is there room on the broom for a cat like me? Whatever.
Fun.
And all these animals. And it's the same author and illustrator of the Gruffalo books. I don't know if you know those.
I think these are maybe after my time.
Yeah. So there's the Gruffalo and the Gruffalo's Child, which are also wonderful.
Okay.
But Room on the Broom, I love even more. It is quite a lot of fun. And we had a little, memory lane moment in the workroom at the library. All like, oh, room on the broom. I love room on the broom.
Aw.
So there you go. That's a lot of bonus finds for your library this week. So
Excellent.
check all of those out. We're going to list them all.
I've still kept a little shelf or two of the children's books I most loved. My kids could care less, but it's like, I remember that one. I gave a whole bunch away at one point on Free Cycle to somebody who had kids. But just, there's those ones you just can't part with.
Yes.
So I have this little shelf, and every now and then I go look at them and I think about the past. But pretty sure
yes,
Hop on Pop is in there. We did that one quite a lot. But and Brown Bear, and
yes.
Caterpillar. And
yeah.
Henry and Mudge.
The true classics.
Memories. But
wonderful.
I wish the kids had the same warm feeling about them. Do parents, are parents the ones who have the warm feelings about children's books? Do kids look back and say, oh, I remember reading that. That was so fun. Or is it parents?
I don't know. I feel like
I remember when they were on my lap and reading this.
Yeah.
And their colors from the brown bear. And
yeah, it's probably more us than them, isn't it?
Mine are not sentimental about anything ever, so I have to do it for them.
Right.
Exponentially sentimental.
Yes. Enough for all four of you, because I don't think your husband is either.
Not sentimental either. The dog, I'm not sure. But, yeah.
Well, she wasn't around for that.
To carry that load of sentimentality.
That's right.
So, speaking of sentimentality, we look back on our archives and go, hey, I remember when we talked about that. That was so fun. So today we're going to take a spin through the archives and see what we were talking about 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and 6 years ago this week. In 2021, we were talking about the never-ending story of household tasks. They just do not stop, do they?
They
I periodically stop doing them, and then things get disgusting. But
yeah,
I should care about that, and I really don't. It's a problem. Because, I mean, I used to try my best to keep the bathroom clean, the one I share with my husband. And then I've had some health problems where, I mean, legit, I'm not making these up to get out of cleaning. If I lean over or, kneel down or something for too long, I get lightheaded. And he doesn't want me to. So he's like, yes, I'll do the cleaning. And I'm saying, that's great. You don't want me to do this, right? And he said, no. But then he doesn't do it.
He doesn't do it.
Like, then I have to keep nagging. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he still doesn't do it. And I'm like, well, what is... I know you don't want me to do it. I don't want to do it. I know you don't want me to do it, and yet it needs to be done. What do you suggest? Oh, yeah, I'll do it. Doesn't do it. So we're sort of getting squalid at the moment, and I don't know what to do. Hire somebody maybe, but then he would say, oh, no, why would you do that? I'm going to do it.
Right.
Could you identify a year in which this is going to get done? Oh, dear. And now we have the situation with my kids' bathroom, which was previously shared by my daughter and son, and my daughter kind of took responsibility for cleaning it. Not, up to white glove standards, but, the bacteria is not talking back. So, she's been doing that, and that's great, and she periodically puts her brother's towel in the wash and things like this. But now she's downstairs and she has her own bathroom.
Right.
So who is going to clean that bathroom? I am 99.99% sure it's not going to be the person who is using it. So then it's going to have to fall under the purview of the person who is cleaning our bathroom, who doesn't do that either.
Who is invisible. Yeah.
So bacteria are going to have a very good time at our house in the next foreseeable future. And I don't know what to do about it. But I don't know. I wish we could afford it. We probably could afford a maid. But again, my husband doesn't want a maid. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Gonna.
And then he won't want someone in the house. And yeah.
Yeah, gonna being the operative word in that sentence.
Right, of course. Yes.
Do you have
It
similar
is hard.
boundaries?
My husband is good at all of a sudden being like, "Wow, this fridge is disgusting," and like, clean it out. And the implication being how did it get this way? Meanwhile, I am the one who's wiping down the stovetop every single time he cooks because he never ever does, or wiping out his bathroom sinks because it has a layer of toothpaste, completely from one side to the other. Like all the day-to-day stuff is absolutely invisible to him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he'll decide that, every closet in the house needs to be cleaned out, or, like I said, the refrigerator needs to be disassembled and all the pieces put in the dishwasher. Things like this go on. And with a great deal of making sure I know that this is going on and that he's the one doing it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't every single time I clean up after you say, "I'm cleaning up after you right now."
Maybe you need to.
I probably do. I would.
Look at all the toothpaste on this sink.
That would not be well received. I can tell you that.
See, this is we're in like a no-win situation here.
That's for sure. So we should probably just go eat a Girl Scout cookie or something.
There you go. Yeah. We have lately been buying Girl Scout cookies from the troop at our church who sells them after masses and usually has just taken cash. And it's like, we don't necessarily carry large amounts of cash on our persons anymore because it's, 2024.
Right.
But this last weekend, the priest announced that the Girl Scouts would be selling cookies after Mass, and they take Venmo. So I have Venmo. I have Venmo. So I had deleted it from my phone, so I downloaded it, still had all my bank information, everything. This is great. We're going to go buy some cookies with Venmo. I feel so contemporary.
Right.
And, that particular night, it was a Saturday after the Saturday night Mass. They were outside selling cookies, and it was dark and it was freezing. So darn the luck, we didn't get the cookies.
No.
But the next day, my son and I went to a fish and chips lunch at the church, and the Girl Scouts were there in the gym selling their cookies. And I was so excited. So I go over and I say, "I'm going to use Venmo, girls. How do I do that?" And I showed them the app, and this one girl comes over. She knows everything, and she, helps me do it. And she types in what I'm buying and, says, "Hit that button," and I do. And it was great. It was like, why do not all the groups that require cash do this? Yeah. I don't know what's involved if they lose a chunk of it or something like that, but I would hope they sell more. And then later on in the lunch, I decided to go back and get a couple other boxes, and I did the Venmo all by myself. I'm so proud. And then I'm like, keep checking my bank account to see the money come out. It's not coming out. It's not coming out. And it's like the girls just let me take cookies. They saw me punching things on my phone, and they let me take cookies. And I'm like, am I stiffing the Girl Scouts? It took like a day.
Did you have a balance in your...
It took out for the day. Venmo told me both had gone through, sent me an email saying both had gone through, but I was checking my bank balance on my phone and the money hadn't come out. It finally did the next day, probably because it was a Sunday. And I was very relieved, but I was like, am I going to stiff the Girl Scouts? Nobody made sure that it was going through on their end. I thought you would go and there would be an adult counselor there with the phone making sure that you actually did it. But there wasn't. But anyway, yay for Girl Scouts for taking Venmo instead of cash. And boo for the cookies getting more expensive and the boxes smaller and the numbers of cookies fewer with every year. $6 now for a box of Girl Scout cookies. And there are fewer cookies than there used to be. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
So, Thus is the way of
But
the
they're
world, I guess.
still delicious.
They're still delicious. I got the peanut butter sandwich cookies. I don't know what they're called. They have a fancy name. And we got 2 boxes of the shortbread cookies. What are they, trefoils?
I think so,
Got a box of Thin Mints for my daughter. Got some lemon cookies. And was going to get some cookies for my son, but he gave up snacks for Lent, so he doesn't get Girl Scout cookies. No Girl Scout cookies for him.
No.
But are you still buying Girl Scout cookies? Do you have a source?
I don't have a particular source, but they'll be at the grocery store sometimes, or I haven't. Once in a while, we'll still have ones that like come to the door selling them. But
that is so.
But remember,
old school.
it used to be that you would order them and then they would come like months later.
They had that big order form where you would check things and put people's names and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you
now you just have to like run into them at the grocery store or at church or wherever.
Do they accept electronic forms of payment where you are?
Probably. It's been a while since
Probably depends on whether the person in charge, the adult in charge, knows how to do that or not.
Right.
Has an account.
I think you're quite correct.
I remember a year or two ago, Boy Scouts were selling something, and somebody's dad was just saying,
popcorn.
Yeah, you can Venmo me, and I'll give the money to the Scouts, which I believe he would because, you know, those dads are pretty involved. But it wasn't an official Boy Scout troop Venmo account, whereas this Girl Scout troop did have an official account of its own. So.
Oh, they had their very own
Yes.
Venmo.
So somebody's parent is with it and set all this stuff up.
Right.
But I don't know. They're still delicious, and you feel like you're doing something good by helping the girls out. And I remember being a Girl Scout going door to door.
Mm-hmm.
And
I grew up in a college town, and a big state school with huge fraternity houses.
Oh my gosh, you cleaned up.
Well, but there was competition because, you know, there were other girls in the troop and you had to get there first. And if you did, oh boy. Yeah, you were winning. But you had to be on your toes.
Yeah. College lets you go set up a table outside the dining hall or something to sell them. I bet you could have done well.
They
probably wouldn't.
We would just go to the frat houses. Because that's where you want your preteen girls.
Yeah, right.
Knocking on the door of the frat house. Hey, guys. What's up? We'd trick or treat there as well.
Oh, my. I bet you did. It was a more innocent time.
I lived in a neighborhood with several. And at the time, I remember thinking, there must be like 50 bedrooms in this house because they were so big, which clearly, they were not. But I sure thought at the time that there were like hundreds of boys living in these houses.
It was just noise that sounded like 100 boys. It was not, in fact, that many. But, that is so cool. I can't remember if we had any, we had a college in town, but I don't think it was, I would go around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Anyway, 5 years ago in 2019, we talked about launching a young adult. And I think at that time, the young adult being launched was Nicole's daughter.
Yes.
I mean, in the years since, you have somewhat launched, at least college word, a couple of kids.
Yes.
And I have...
You've launched one down the stairs.
One young person down the stairs. But I'll claim that victory.
Yes, you should. You should. Absolutely.
So...
Yeah.
You think your kiddos are going to stay launched, or...
Well...
How's it going?
The girl, for sure.
Towards the end there, is she going to be coming home after, or is she going to be flying?
I don't think so. Yeah, she
is securely sewn on when she flies away.
That's right. She has one more semester after this one, so she's doing an extra. Mm-hmm. But you know, she has this boyfriend in Michigan, so I think
She'll be
we've
staying
lost her to the state of Michigan.
there. Yeah.
You know, who knows for sure if she'll stay with this guy, but she does seem to like Michigan quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's always been, you know, pretty independent. I mean, she only ever came home for one summer, and that was like the COVID year.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
her first year of college, she was back and forth quite a bit and
Right.
did a lot of it online, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, was for sure home for the summer.
Yeah.
But after that, nope, haven't seen her.
Yeah.
She's gone. So I think she's pretty launched.
Sounds
The other one, you know, he just started, but
Yeah.
we'll see. I think he does want to come home for the summer and hang out with his friends. So, not us.
Not you. But
Yeah, not so much. But I mean, I feel like he's about to be home for spring break, and I feel like he just started because the semester didn't start until the end of January because they have like a January term that some of the kids do, which he didn't do. So they started at the end of January, and then their spring break is the beginning of March. Like, what? Don't you have some classes to go to or something? So
that's
When
you were in school, did you come home summers or did you stay away?
I did both.
Yeah.
I mostly did not come home. Also, my parents were no longer living
That's right.
where I went to high school, so
that
it
makes
was
different.
less appealing.
Yeah. I think I came home my first summer between freshman and sophomore years. And then after sophomore year, I went to Europe for 2 months. So I was home a little bit on either end, but mostly I was out. And then after junior year, I had rented an apartment, and I just stayed in the apartment all summer and worked. So my parents would have liked me home every summer, and I think my mom's feelings were kind of hurt that I didn't, but that made me all the more determined to be independent.
Yes.
So
just a week or two ago, my friend, who was my really close friend, you know, still a close friend, we went to high school and college together. And she found the summer after our freshman year, when everyone scattered, this one friend of ours wrote like a fake newsletter about what everyone was doing for the summer.
Oh my goodness.
And she found it and sent me a copy. Oh my gosh. Wow. It is so funny. And of course it's only funny to me and to, you know, people who were there, because it's entirely like inside jokes and, you know, funny nicknames and whatever. And, you know, it's not what we were really, really doing. It's, oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And it just,
how fun.
You know, it's a big argument for saving that kind of piece of paper.
So yay, clutter.
She has moved so many times. I don't know how she found it. I mean, she's lived in a lot of places.
The archivist for your group of friends.
Yes. Well, and she is a librarian. There you go.
So it comes natural. She probably has it very organized.
Yes. So it was wonderful to have that back. So.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't have anything like that, really. But just memories.
You might.
Just
just don't know where it is.
Yeah, could be somewhere. I guess. I do have a friend from high school who's a librarian. Danita, have you been keeping records?
Maybe she has.
Ask her about that sometime. That would be from high school. Oh, well.
Shall we put this one to bed and save it to discover in the future years?
Leave this to the archives and move on.
What's the line? Let future historians wonder how Eliza reacted. It's a line from Burn.
Yes.
So, anyway, well, we will call it a day for today. That's it for the Parenting Roundabout Weekly Roundup. Next up on Reservation Dogs are Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8. Number 7 is called Stay Gold, Cheesy Boy. And I believe this particular one is in the Extra Hot Great Canon.
Oh, okay.
So we may be in for a treat.
Yeah.
And then the second one that we're going to watch is called This Is Where the Plot Thickens.
Wasn't the plot thick enough? I think there was plenty of thickener so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing is that So You Think You Can Dance started up a new season last night. This is something that we've often watched in the past, but the Monday night scheduling we don't appreciate.
When we drop our episode on Tuesday, what are you doing? So
they did not consult us on this, and we don't like it.
No.
But there's a brand new judging panel. It's Max Shmerkovsky. Did I do that?
Yeah, from Dancing with the Stars.
Allison Holker, who has been on So You Think You Can Dance in the past. The widow of Twitch, who was a wonderful dancer from that show, and many other things.
Yes.
And then Jojo Siwa, who we also saw on Dancing with the Stars and, is a pop star and all kinds of, fingers in a lot of pies.
Exactly.
So we're curious about that. So, we might be checking in periodically and letting you know what we think.
Yes. And maybe when it gets down to the real competitive part, we'll try to find a way to wedge a little chat about it into the episode before we drop it on Tuesday morning. But not helpful.
Yeah.
Please let there be no new TV on Mondays. Tuesday's bad enough because then we're always a week behind, but Monday is tough because we could get it in there. We could.
Right. We feel compelled to get it in there.
As long as it's Lent, staying up late is fine for me. Once I get to go sit on the couch again, we're very sorry.
We're in trouble. Awesome. Yes. So stay tuned, I guess, on that. You can find all of our episodes on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. You can also talk to us on our Facebook page, on Instagram, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat. And please visit our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/momitude, where you can find links to a lot of things we've talked about over the years. We will see you back here next Tuesday. Bye, Terry.
Bye, Catherine.
Goodbye, everyone.